Now, it's been brought to my attention that D&D doesn't actually tell you all the things it needs to tell you about how it's played. You might have the basic rules, but one commenter was right. It doesn't really tell you exactly the ins and outs of the scene. And I don't want to call this episode D&D for Dummies, because I think that's not how the situation is. We're all in the same boat at first. Even with this, it's quite a lot to read. So what do we actually care about? These, the players. Set these down in a scenario. So to simplify what these represent, I've done these little character sheets. Wanda the Wizard, Barry the Barbarian, Roger the Rogue, Clancy the Cleric. Alright, so these all have 10 health points. They have an armour class of 10, 13, 15 and 12. So Wanda, Roger, Barry, Clancy. In the official starter set, you even get your simplified character sheets here. Now on the back of mine, I have written 0, 0, +1, +2, +3, because there are 6 skills which could have numbers on, and all I want you to worry about is that if I said to the players, you can spread these out between your strength, your constitution, your wisdom, your dexterity, intelligence and charisma, among 6 different parts of your character. Where would you put the +3? The barbarian would say, well, 3 goes in strength. One might say charisma's my best thing. The sort of personality they've built their PC around. And they will roll their d20, and the barbarian will say, well, if it's strength I'm rolling for, I roll this and add 3. Someone else's strength might be, oh no, I've got 0 to add on to that. Fine, right. So at the moment we're in an open space of nothing, right? Because some people don't even use a map, it's all up here. Me as DM might say, using the Wilderness book, the text box, you travel along a well-kept trail east of the keep on the borderlands. Gnarled tree roots and big rocks mark the edges of the 10-foot wide path. This is all in our head, we have nothing, we're not playing with anything, nothing on the table. You, the player characters, are walking along a road. Trees and rocks. And if they all stand and stare at you and be like, yeah, right, then you need to say something again. Okay, as you walk, you smell the smoke of a campfire. And all I've done there is I've pictured them walking down a road or outside, and I'm trying to entice them into action. And the reason it doesn't say how to do it in the books is every time you've got a different person at the table, they'll all do different things. One person could be like, right, well, let's keep walking. Okay, that's fine, you keep walking. They don't take your bait, and eventually, if they want to play the game, they'll take some bait. And hopefully your players will eventually think, right, well, how long does this road go on for? Okay, you see it spreads, and you're making it up about good 3 miles up to the crest of the hill. You need to paint some pictures, an option. The road splits in 2, goes left and right. Give them a choice, make them have to go, well, we can't just walk down the middle, we'll hit a tree. We have to go left or right. Back on you guys. Okay, we're going left or right. Well, we'll go left. Or someone might say, I want to check to see whether there's more common traffic on one of those paths than the other. One might lead to a town, one might not. Right, Roger the Rogue, thank you for that. You need to roll your d20. So there now, it's not in the book, they're instigating something. Roger, you rolled a 7 plus, how good are you at this tracking sort of stuff? Oh, +3. Alright, you got a 10. Save yourself any complications at first. Every number they're trying to get is 15. To do an action of some sort. They move a set amount of space, 30 feet, and they do a thing. They do an action. Some of them have bonus actions. Now this comes more into play when you're doing a fight. Let's say they do go to the campfire. Then it's back and forth. You invented it, they invent what they do, you invent back, and eventually they'll get to a point like, well, you know when they reach the thing, the castle, the campsite, that this thing happens. This thing that might be in the book, the next thing that it does tell you. They meet a traveller, a young woman. You just imagine, are they hot? Are they thirsty, hungry, going in the wrong direction? They meet this woman. Does she look shifty? Is she harbouring some information that she's meant to pass on? There isn't rules for this. It's as if there isn't a game. And I'm just saying to you, there's a goblin in the road. He's eating a sandwich. What do you do? I don't know what you're going to say. Every viewer will be thinking something different. And you might find it hard to come up with things. So let's move it to the next level. Does this make it easier? Right, you're coming along and you reach a bridge. Okay, there's a carrion crawler monster over here that can burrow up from underneath the floor at any time. A big beastie. You've got its health, its armour class. Do they check the bridge to see whether it's dangerous? As they go along, do you want to imagine that it's not actually there, it's burrowed underneath and it bursts up from behind them? You know how to run a fight. Carrion crawler comes up, you roll for what order, who fights in, quickest. The person goes down, monster's dead. Right, but look at your surroundings on this. What's the wind doing? What sort of time of day is it? There's a crop of trees over there. There's a wooden shrine over there. It's not written, it's in your head, you're making it up. We're all just making it up, guys. That's why it's not written. Just like in a board game with optional moves around the board, you don't know what Tim's going to do on his third go. It's like that. So this is just something I own. If you already have the starter set, then you'll have these caves. So let's go for cave B, another example. So yeah, as your party enter, you don't know which way they're going to go. So let's say this room is spider-webbed because of a big giant spider. You got your giant spider card because you've got to run that monster. Potentially, you might not. They might try and befriend it. So Wanda, Clancy, Barry and Roger come into this cave. They could split up. Let's say they split up. There's water running. There's a smell coming from down here. There's a cart here, and if they search it, there's a chest on top. There's some coins right down the other end. And out of this well comes an ogre. Got your ogre card. Okay, so 2 encounters. Options, options. Let's throw a vial of acid as an item to collect if they look in the water. If all your moves are ifs, if they attack this creature, if they go in that room, if they look in the water, create a lot of ifs. Because they might go, do you know what? This isn't where I want to be. We want to stay outside where it's safe. They leave. All of your ifs are gone. The book can't write the ifs. You think of the ifs and they'll do their own if. What if we go down here? Do I need a torch? What if we get killed? What if we find something good? So they split up. One half finds some treasure. The other half startles an ogre. You're running a fight down here. You're running exploration in this room. And all that your book said was, in room 3, there's an ogre. And they can find a vial of acid. Because that's all it can really predict. And those even items can be washed and changed. I don't want my ogre there. I'm going to put a giant spider in. I'm going to put this guy who's trapped and wrapped up in chains. Andrella, he's an NPC. He's a captain from the keep. He's been kidnapped and put here by nefarious bandits. Take all of these ingredients away. All you need to know is, do I need to ask them to roll a d20? What numbers do we add? When are things dead? When can we move on? Don't make them roll for things that are just easy. I've dropped my dagger at my feet. Can I find it? Probably. If you drop in a thieves' tools set in maybe the next hour or so, put in a lock that needs to be picked so they can use the thieves' tools. Don't forget to reward your wizards with spell scrolls and spell books. Some characters need stuff and others need magical treats. Put things for barbarians to lift. Throw things at rogues so they can catch them and do their fancy stuff. Play into the player builds that they've made. If there's an archaeologist character, give them some old hieroglyphics to read. Give them the option of levelling up their items and drop things that aren't relevant so they can leave them or pick them up. They go in a kitchen. Okay, the book says there's nothing of interest, nothing valuable. You go in my kitchen, there's nothing valuable. There's pots, pans, microwave kettle, knives and forks and spoons and towels. Don't have nothings there. Just think what's in a kitchen. It's not that hard, is it? Let's play a game. Random page opening. Right. There's a corridor. I'm going to have some monster. Let's go 3 stages down this corridor, should they go down that way. So they're just hovering, waiting to be met and fought. Down this one, there's a rolling log, like Indiana Jones' trap, that falls on them should they stand on any of these tiles. In this room there's a spell scroll. In this room, some chainmail. And the floor here breaks if they step on it. Just dot stuff around for them to interact with. And there's many different maps to do just the same. What would you see when you're walking down a countryside road? What would you see if you came across an old ruin? What would you find? In the woods, woody type monsters, elves. Are you going to go on the high seas? Is there a fort? Is it a friendly fort or an enemy fort? NPCs start conversations. Who knows how that's going to go? That's the fun. It's the not written bits that is the D&D. Let me know if that is of any help or you want me to dig deeper. Any other questions, ask and either our comments will answer or I'll make you a video. And I'll see you next session.